He thought he had committed the perfect crime. Michael Sullivan won a massive lottery jackpot and decided to hide every single cent from his struggling wife, letting her drown in debt while he lived a secret life of luxury. But he made one fatal, arrogant calculation. He assumed he was the only one keeping a secret. He didn't know that the woman he was starving out was actually a billionaire heiress in disguise, waiting to see if he was worth a dime. We've all seen how money can rot a relationship from the inside out. It's a universal fear discovering that the person you share your bed with sees you as nothing more than a financial liability. But what happens when the victim holds all the cards? What happens when greed blinds a man so completely that he unknowingly walks away from an empire? This is the story of Michael and Olivia. It's a twisted game of cat and mouse where the roles are reversed in the most shocking way possible. You are going to witness a husband who let his wife take the bus in the rain while he bought secret Rolexes, and a wife who owned the very ground he walked on. It is a journey of ultimate betrayal, heart-wrenching patience, and a finale of poetic justice that will leave you cheering at your screen. Get ready for an emotional roller coaster. You will feel the rage, you will feel the heartbreak, and you will feel the glorious satisfaction of the moment the truth finally drops. This isn't just a breakup, it is a total demolition of a man's ego. Before we watch his house of cards crumble, welcome to our family. If you believe that true character is revealed not when you have nothing, but when you have everything, hit that subscribe button. Like this video to lock in your own good karma, and comment justice down below if you're ready to see a greedy man get exactly what he deserves. Let's dive in. The neon sign of the convenience store buzzed overhead, mirroring the electric shock coursing through Michael Sullivan's veins as he stared at the crumpled paper in his trembling hands. It wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a life-changing ticket that had just crowned him a lottery winner, granting him access to a level of wealth he'd only ever dreamed of. For a fleeting second, his heart swelled with the urge to scream, to call Olivia Miller and shout that their struggles were over, but then, a dark, cold shadow cast itself over his joy. He looked around, paranoia setting in instantly, and that's when the unexpected twist in his moral compass occurred. He realized he didn't want to share. Why should he split this instant karma with someone who nagged him about the electric bill? He folded the ticket carefully, tucking it into the deepest recess of his wallet, effectively birthing a secret millionaire right there in the gum aisle. It was a shocking truth: he was already preparing to live with the money was his, and his alone to protect. The thought of marriage drama and endless handouts to her family made his stomach churn, solidifying his resolve to keep this a financial secret. He convinced himself that silence was a form of protection, not betrayal, though deep down, the seeds of greed were taking root fast. It's wild how quickly money changes the landscape of a relationship, isn't it? One minute you're a team, the next, you're a lone wolf guarding a kill against the person you sleep next to. Driving home, Michael rehearsed his poker face in the rearview mirror, terrified that a smirk or a twitch would give away his new status as an undercover billionaire. He turned up the radio to drown out the guilt, telling himself this was a necessary relationship test that Olivia was destined to fail. If she truly loved him, she wouldn't need to know about the bank account, right? That's the lie he fed himself. He planned to lock this secret away, creating a husband hides money scenario that would rival any soap opera script. The road ahead was paved with gold, but he was choosing to walk it in the shadows, leaving his partner in the dark while he basked in the glow of his private fortune. When he finally walked through the front door, the smell of burnt toast and the sight of Olivia Miller wrestling with a stack of overdue bills greeted him. Usually, this scene would evoke a shared sigh of frustration, but tonight, Michael felt a strange, detached superiority, a prelude to the emotional roller coaster to come. He watched her run a hand through her tired hair, completely unaware that the man standing in her hallway could solve every problem with a signature. It was a moment of ultimate justice, and his twisted mind had the power now. But instead of helping, he tightened his grip on his keys, shielding his wealth like a weapon against her vulnerability. "Hey, you're late," Olivia said, her voice laced with exhaustion, unaware she was speaking to a man plotting a sweet revenge for slights she didn't even know she'd committed. Michael shrugged, tossing his jacket on the chair, feigning a bad day at the office while his mind raced with visions of sports cars and penthouses. "Just work," he grunted, a colloquialism for him lying to your face. He was already mentally spending the money, creating a divide so wide that regret would be the only bridge back. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How easy it is to look at someone you promised forever to and see an obstacle instead of a partner when greed enters the chat. As the night wore on, Michael lay in bed, his back turned to Olivia, clutching his wallet under his pillow like a security blanket. The humiliation of their past poverty felt miles away, replaced by the thrill of his deception, but he didn't see the life lesson looming on the horizon. He was safe, he was rich, and he was alone in his secret. He thought he was the player, but he was actually the pawn in a much larger game of instant karma. Little did he know, this decision to hide his fortune was the first step toward a shocking truth that would shatter his world into pieces he couldn't buy back. The silence in the room was heavy, filled with the weight of things unsaid and futures being rewritten without consent. Michael closed his eyes, visualizing the zeros in his bank account, letting the fantasy of a solo life wash over him. He felt like a king in a castle made of cards, oblivious to the wind picking up outside. Olivia shifted in her sleep, her hand brushing his back, a gesture of intimacy he now found repulsive. This wasn't just about money anymore, it was about freedom. And he was willing to burn his marriage to the ground to keep his gold, setting the stage for a tragic downfall. The transformation wasn't subtle, it was as if Michael Sullivan had been replaced by a stranger wearing his skin. His behavior shifted from casually detached to aggressively paranoid, a classic symptom of a secret millionaire guarding a hoard. He started taking calls in the garage, whispering in hushed tones that ceased abruptly the moment Olivia Miller walked into the room. His phone, once tossed carelessly on the coffee table, was now glued to his hand or locked behind a complex passcode, a digital vault for his financial secret. Olivia watched this unfold with a growing sense of unease, sensing the marriage drama brewing but unable to pinpoint the cause. Every time the mail arrived, Michael would sprint to the mailbox like a man possessed, terrified that a bank statement might reveal his status as a lottery winner. He bought a shredder and spent hours destroying documents, the grinding noise becoming the soundtrack to their crumbling relationship.
This wasn't just privacy, it was a fortress of lies built to exclude the one person who should have been inside. He was living as an undercover billionaire in his own home, treating his wife like a potential spy. It begs the question, how much energy does it take to maintain a lie of this magnitude before you crack? At dinner, the silence was deafening, broken only by the scraping of forks and Michael's jumpiness at every notification ping. When Olivia asked a simple question about his day, he snapped, accusing her of prying, turning a mundane conversation into a relationship test she couldn't pass. He was projecting his guilt onto her, creating a narrative where he was the victim of her curiosity. This husband-hides-money dynamic was toxic, poisoning the air they breathed. He looked at her not with love, but with suspicion, calculating how much she knew or what she might want. One evening, Olivia playfully tried to grab his phone to check the time, and Michael recoiled as if she had brandished a knife. "Don't touch my stuff," he yelled, a reaction so disproportionate it left her shaking. The humiliation in her eyes was palpable, but Michael was too blinded by his wealth to care. He saw threats where it was only affection. This is a shocking truth about greed. It isolates you, turning allies into enemies in the theater of your mind. He was building a golden cage, and he was locking himself inside, throwing away the key. He started staying up late, staring at the glowing screen of his laptop, moving funds to offshore accounts to ensure his sweet revenge against a poverty that no longer existed. He told Olivia he was working on a big project, a half-truth that masked the betrayal happening in real time. He was erasing their shared financial future, dollar by dollar. The unexpected twist was that he enjoyed the secrecy. It gave him a rush, a sense of power he had lacked for so long. But power without principle is just a fast track to regret. The distance between them grew physical as well. He moved to the guest room, claiming he had insomnia and didn't want to disturb her. In reality, he couldn't bear to sleep next to the woman he was deceiving. Every snore, every breath she took annoyed him, a reminder of the life he was desperate to shed. He was waiting for the perfect moment to execute his exit strategy, leaving her to deal with the instant karma he believed she deserved for holding him back. But life has a funny way of balancing the scales. As the weeks turned into a month, Michael's paranoia deepened into obsession. He installed a safe in the closet, claiming it was for important papers. But Olivia knew they didn't have any papers worth locking up. She felt the chill of his secrets freezing her out, leaving her alone in a marriage of two. She didn't know he was a lottery winner, but she knew she was losing her husband. And in the silence of the guest room, Michael counted his money, unaware that he was bankrupting his soul. While Michael sat on a throne of hidden cash, Olivia Miller was drowning in a rising tide of inflation and overdue notices. The kitchen table was covered in red-stamped envelopes, a visual representation of their struggle, or rather, her struggle. She juggled 2 part-time jobs, exhausting herself to keep the lights on, completely unaware that her husband was a secret millionaire. The irony was cruel. She was stressing over the price of milk while he was browsing listings for yachts. It was a financial secret that had crossed the line into emotional abuse. She sat with her head in her hands, the calculator displaying a negative number that made her stomach drop. "Michael, we need to talk about the rent," she called out, her voice trembling with the fear of humiliation that comes with poverty. From the other room, he barely grunted, too busy admiring his portfolio to care about her distress. This wasn't just marriage drama. It was a systemic dismantling of her security. She was fighting a war for survival, unaware that her ally had defected to the side of wealth and left her defenseless. Every trip to the grocery store was a lesson in humility for Olivia. She counted coupons and put items back on the shelf, sacrificing her needs to ensure Michael had his favorite snacks. She assumed they were in this together, a team facing hard times, not realizing she was a victim of a husband hides money scheme. Her resilience was admirable, a true life lesson in fortitude, but was being wasted on a man who watched her struggle with cold indifference. How can you watch someone you love suffer when the solution is in your back pocket? One night, the heating broke down, plunging the house into a bitter chill. Olivia bundled up in layers, shivering as she tried to fix the radiator herself to save the repair fee. Michael, the undercover billionaire, simply put on a designer sweater head claimed was a hand-me-down and complained about the draft. The betrayal was visceral. He had the means to fix everything instantly, but chose to let her freeze. It was a test of character, and he was failing spectacularly, creating an emotional roller coaster that only went down. She tried to pick up extra shifts, coming home with blistered feet and aching vulnerability. "I think we can make it if I skip lunch this month," she whispered to herself, a shocking truth of her desperation. Meanwhile, Michael was secretly dining at 5-star restaurants during his late work nights, gorging on lobster while she ate ramen. The disparity was sickening. It was a setup for instant karma, a pendulum swinging back with gathering force. You have to wonder, did he feel even a twinge of regret looking at her tired eyes? Olivia's friends noticed the toll it was taking on her. They saw the dark circles, the weight loss, the fraying of her spirit. They asked if Michael was helping, and she defended him, unaware she was protecting the villain of her story. "He's trying his best," she lied, shielding him from judgment while he shielded his assets from her. It was a relationship test where she was giving 100 and getting a 0 in return. The unexpected twist was that her kindness was fueling his contempt. He saw her struggle as weakness, not sacrifice. As the month ended, Olivia sat crying over the utility bill, fearing the darkness that would come if they were cut off. She felt like a failure, unaware that the real failure was sitting in the next room, checking stock prices on a gold-plated phone. She was playing a rigged game, fighting for crumbs while he owned the bakery. But resilience is a quiet power, and Olivia Miller was building a reservoir of strength that would eventually serve as the ultimate sweet revenge. The tension in the apartment was thick enough to cut with a knife when the landlord came knocking. Olivia looked to Michael with pleading eyes, hoping he could scrape together his share. But he threw up his hands, a performance worthy of an Oscar. Tapped out, "Live." "Totally broke," he lied, using a colloquialism that slid easily off his tongue. He played the victim of the economy, masking the fact that he was a lottery winner hoarding millions. It was a blatant betrayal, leaving her to face the landlord's ire alone while he retreated to his sanctuary of lies. While Olivia was selling her grandmother's jewelry to cover the rent, Michael was engaging in retail therapy of the highest order. He had developed a taste for luxury timepieces, dropping tens of thousands on watches he hid in his gym bag. He was a secret millionaire ticking away the time until he could leave, using his wealth to accessorize a life that didn't include her. The audacity of buying a Rolex while your wife begs for an extension on the rent is a special kind of husband hides money evil. It creates a contrast so sharp it screams for ultimate justice. He would wear the watches when he was out alone, feeling the weight of the gold on his wrist like a shackle of power. To him, they were symbols of his new status in the universe. They were evidence of his moral bankruptcy. He justified it by telling himself he deserved a treat, ignoring the shocking truth that his treat was funded by the deception of his partner. This wasn't just a financial secret. It was a lifestyle of duplicity. He was living two lives, and in one of them, he was a king, and the other, a deadbeat. Olivia asked him for just $50 to help with groceries later that week. Michael scoffed, checking the time on his hidden 20,000 watch before hiding it under his sleeve. Money doesn't grow on trees. Olivia, he lectured, delivering a life lesson on frugality while sitting on a fortune. The hypocrisy was staggering. He was gaslighting her into believing they were destitute, manipulating her reality to protect his hoard. It was a cruel relationship test, pushing her to the brink to see if she would break. He spent hours online researching complications and bezels, obsessed with material accumulation. The watches became a substitute for the emotional connection he had severed. Each ticking second on those expensive dials brought him closer to the unexpected twist of his fate, but he was too enamored with his reflection to see it. He felt invincible, an undercover billionaire outsmarting the world. But time is the one thing you can't buy, and his time was running out in ways he couldn't foresee. One afternoon, he almost slipped up, leaving a receipt on the counter. He snatched it away just as Olivia walked in, his heart pounding not with love, but with the fear of being caught. "Just trash," he stammered. He was becoming sloppy, the arrogance of his wealth making him careless. He didn't realize that instant karma watches everything, keeping a tally of every lie and every tear Olivia shed. The regret he was banking for the future was accumulating interest. The rent was paid barely, thanks to Olivia's extra shifts and sold heirlooms. She slumped on the sofa, exhausted, while Michael admired his new acquisition in the bathroom mirror. He felt superior, smart, successful. He didn't see a tired wife, he saw a liability. This emotional roller coaster was nearing a loop that would turn his stomach. But for now, he was just a man with a secret watch and a frozen heart, ticking away toward the reckoning. The devil is in the details, and Olivia Miller, despite her exhaustion, had a sharp eye. She noticed the fabric of Michael's new jacket. It didn't pill, it didn't wrinkle, and it screamed quality. "Michael, is that cashmere?" she asked, reaching out to touch the soft material. He flinched, pulling away as if burned, his secret millionaire instincts kicking in. "This? No way." He laughed nervously, spinning a web of lies. "It's a knockoff. Got it from a guy downtown. $20. It was a bold-faced lie to cover his wealth, but he delivered it with the confidence of a sociopath. He had been upgrading his wardrobe slowly, replacing threadbare tees with designer labels, unable to resist the trappings of being a lottery winner. He thought he was being subtle, but the difference between polyester and Italian silk is hard to miss. When Olivia pointed out the stitching on his new shoes, he scoffed. "They're fakes, Liv. Don't be naive. We can't afford real leather." He used her trust against her, turning her observation into a flaw in her judgment. This husband hides money tactic was designed to make her doubt her own senses. It was a classic gaslighting move in this unfolding marriage drama. He wore the clothes of a prince while forcing her to live like a pauper. He walked around a house in garments that cost more than their car, claiming they were bargain bin finds. The shocking truth was staring her in the face, but her love for him acted as a blindfold. She wanted to believe him because the alternative that he was lying and hiding money was too painful to consider. It was betrayal woven into the very fibers of his clothing. "You look good, though," she said softly, trying to find a compliment amidst the confusion. Michael preened, his ego stroked, taking it as validation of his new status as an undercover billionaire. "Yeah, well, you got a dress for the job you want," he retorted, a phrase of transition that meant nothing. He was dressing for the life he was planning without her. The clothes were his armor, protecting him from the reality of his cruelty. But even the most expensive suit can't hide a cheap character. He started hiding the dry cleaning tags, cutting out labels that said made in Italy before throwing them in the wash. It was a tedious maintenance of his financial secret, but he felt it was necessary. He couldn't risk her Googling a brand name and seeing the four-figure price tag. Every time he put on those clothes, he felt a surge of power, a tangible reminder of his sweet revenge in a world that had once overlooked him. He was literally wearing his greed. One day, a receipt fell out of his pocket, a bill for a $500 shirt. Olivia picked it up, her brow furrowing. Michael snatched it, thinking fast. That's for my boss. I picked up his dry cleaning. He's reimbursing me. The lies were coming faster now, stacking up like a house of cards. The emotional roller coaster was picking up speed. He was gambling that she wouldn't push, wouldn't question. He was banking on her submission. But instant karma has a way of unraveling even the tightest threads. Olivia stared at him, a flicker of doubt finally igniting behind her eyes. The story didn't add up. The knockoffs fit too well, the boss errands were too frequent. She didn't say anything, but the seed was planted. Michael thought he was pulling off the perfect crime, but he was just dressing himself up for a fall that would strip him bare of everything but his regret. The air in the lawyer's office was sterile and smelled of expensive mahogany and cold calculation. Michael sat there, not as a husband seeking counseling, but as a lottery winner plotting a strategic exit. I want to make sure she gets zero, he stated flatly, his voice devoid of any emotion for the woman who had supported him for years. This was the ultimate betrayal, a premeditated strike to ensure his wealth remained untouched. He wasn't just leaving, he was planning to annihilate her future, to secure his own as a secret millionaire. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed shark in a suit, nodded, taking notes on the assets Michael claimed to not have on paper yet. They discussed loopholes, hidden accounts, and the timing of the separation. Michael listened intently, absorbing the legal advice like a general planning a siege. He framed Olivia not as his partner, but as a financial liability, a parasite he needed to scrape off. The marriage drama had moved from the living room to the courtroom before Olivia even knew there was a fight. It was a chilling display of greed overriding humanity. We need to prove she contributed nothing to the sudden acquisition of assets, the lawyer advised. Michael smirked. Easy. She thinks him broke. She doesn't even know the money exists. He was proud of his deception, boasting about his husband Hyde's money skills. He was rewriting their history, erasing her sacrifices to fit his narrative of the self-made man. This was the shocking truth of his character. He was willing to commit perjury of the heart to keep his gold. He returned home that evening with a folder of documents he hid under the spare tire in the trunk. He looked at Olivia, who was mending a tear in his old work shirt, and felt a surge of contempt. "Why do you bother with that rag?" He sneered. She looked up, surprised. "Because we can't afford a new one, Michael." The irony was a bitter pill. He was consulting experts to starve her out while she was trying to save him pennies. The relationship test was over, he had failed, but he thought he was winning. He started picking fights, hoping to create a narrative of incompatibility. "You're always nagging," he'd say, "but we have nothing in common." He was laying the groundwork for the temporary separation, planting the seeds of the breakup, so it wouldn't look like it was about the money. It was a psychological game, an emotional roller coaster he was forcing her to ride. He wanted to be the victim who had to leave, the undercover billionaire escaping a bad marriage, not the villain abandoning a loyal wife. The lawyer had warned him to be careful, but Michael felt invincible. He fantasized about the day the papers would be served, the look on her face when she realized she was entitled to nothing. It was a fantasy of sweet revenge against a life of mediocrity. He didn't care about ultimate justice or fairness. He cared about winning. He was preparing to pull the rug out from under her, oblivious to the fact that the floor he stood on was rotting. As he signed the retainer check, he felt a rush of adrenaline. It was done. The mechanism was in motion. He was going to cut her loose and sail off into sunset. But he forgot one crucial detail in the court of instant karma. There are no good lawyers. You represent yourself, and the evidence of your cruelty is admissible. Michael was preparing for a divorce, but he was really preparing for his own humiliation. The rain was pouring down in sheets when Olivia called. her voice trembling with stress. "Michael, the car died on the highway. I'm stranded. The tow truck is going to cost a fortune." Any decent husband would have rushed to her aid, but Michael, the secret millionaire, let out an exasperated sigh. "Well, I can't help you, Liv. I don't have the cash," she lied, sitting on a couch that cost more than her car. His refusal was a cold slap in the face, a demonstration of his hoard over his heart. This wasn't just about money, it was a total abdication of care, a betrayal of the most basic spousal duty. "Just take the bus," he said dismissively, checking his cuticles. "It's cheaper anyway." The suggestion hung in the air, cruel and indifferent. He knew the bus route would add 2 hours to her commute, knew she would be walking in the rain, but he didn't care. His wealth had insulated him from empathy. He saw her misfortune as an inconvenience to him, not a crisis for her. It was a pivotal moment in their marriage drama, a clear signal that she was on her own. Olivia stood on the side of the road, soaked to the bone, watching luxury cars zoom past, unaware her husband could buy a fleet of them. She felt small, abandoned, and incredibly lonely. The humiliation of counting out coins for the bus fare while her husband sat at home was a heavy burden. She wondered what she had done to deserve this coldness, not knowing she was a victim of a husband hides money plot that had stripped him of his humanity. The shocking truth was that he enjoyed seeing her struggle. It validated his belief that he was the superior survivor. When she finally stumbled to the door hours later, dripping wet and shivering, Michael didn't even look up from the TV. "You're late for dinner," he muttered. It was a breathtaking display of narcissism. He offered no towel, no tea, no comfort. He was treating her like an unwelcome roommate. This was a relationship test where the answer was clear. He didn't love her. He loved his money. And his money didn't care if she caught pneumonia. "I can't believe you," Olivia whispered, her teeth chattering. "You wouldn't even come get me?" Michael shrugged, defensive. "Gas is expensive. Olivia, we have to make sacrifices." The word "we" was a weapon he used to enforce her poverty while he lived in secret luxury as an undercover billionaire. He was hoarding resources like a dragon, willing to let her suffer to save a few dollars that meant nothing to him anymore. It was a life lesson in greed. It eats everything, including love. He watched her struggle to dry off, feeling a twisted sense of justification. If she was stronger, she wouldn't need him. If she was smarter, she'd have a better car. He blamed her for her own misfortune, absolving himself of any guilt. This mindset is a hallmark of the instant karma candidate. He was digging a pit of indifference, so deep that when he eventually fell in, no one would be there to pull him out. That night, Olivia cried herself to sleep, the sound muffled by her pillow. Michael heard it and turned up the volume on the TV. He was done pretending to care. The emotional roller coaster had bottomed out. He had the money, he had the plan, and soon he would have his freedom. He didn't know that by forcing her to take the bus, he was driving her towards a destiny far greater than he could imagine, and driving himself to a regret that would haunt him forever. In the face of Michael's growing icy demeanor, Olivia Miller responded not with fire, but with warmth. It was a heartbreaking display of loyalty. She continued to cook his favorite lasagna, layering the pasta with care, hoping the comfort food would thaw his frozen heart. She didn't know she was feeding a secret millionaire who viewed her efforts as pathetic attempts to cling to him. Her kindness was a stark contrast to his greed, a life lesson in unconditional love that Michael was too blind to learn. He ate the food, accepted the support, and gave nothing back but silence. She would ask him about his day, listening intently to his mumbled, one-word answers. "I know things are tough right now, Michael, but we have each other," she would say, squeezing his hand. He would pull away, repulsed by her optimism. To him, her support was an anchor dragging him down, holding him back from his life of wealth. He couldn't see that her love was the only real thing in the room. This marriage drama was a tragedy of perception. She saw a partnership. He saw a prison. Even as he hid his bank statements and lied about his clothes, Olivia defended him to the world. When her mother asked why Michael was so distant, Olivia made excuses. "He's just stressed about money, Mom. He carries the weight of the world." She was protecting the reputation of an undercover billionaire who was actively plotting her downfall. It was a betrayal of her own instincts, but she operated on faith. She believed in the man he used to be, not realizing that man had been consumed by the lottery winner. One evening, she surprised him with a small gifted keychain she had bought with her tips. "It says hope," she smiled. Michael looked at the cheap trinket with disdain. He could buy a diamond-encrusted keychain if he wanted. "Thanks," he muttered, tossing it into a drawer full of junk. The gesture meant nothing to him because he measured value in dollars, not sentiment. The shocking truth was that he was too poor in spirit to afford her kindness. She massaged his shoulders when he complained of tension caused by the stress of keeping his financial secret. She ironed his shirts, the very shirts he lied about. She was the perfect wife to an imperfect man. Her grace in the face of his cruelty was a relationship test she was passing with flying colors, proving her worth to everyone but him. He saw her servitude as weakness, failing to recognize the strength it takes to love someone who is hurting you. "You're too nice," he said once, almost accusingly. "You let people walk all over you." He was projecting. Of course, he was the one walking all over her. But Olivia just smiled sadly. Kindness isn't weakness, Michael. It was a profound statement that flew right over his head. He was so focused on his sweet revenge against poverty that he missed the richness of the woman sitting across from him. He was trading a diamond for a pile of rocks. As the days turned into weeks, Olivia's light didn't dim, even as Michael's shadow grew longer. She was a steady flame in a drafty house. Instant karma was taking notes. The universe doesn't ignore a heart that pure, nor does it ignore a heart that cold. Michael was setting the stage for his own humiliation, because eventually, you realize that money can buy a house, but it can't buy the home that Olivia was building with her bare hands and broken heart. The moment Michael had been rehearsing finally arrived on a Tuesday evening, shattering the mundane silence of their living room. He stood up, pacing the floor with the restless energy of a caged animal, before turning to Olivia with a cold, practiced expression. "I think we need a break," he announced, dropping the bomb with the precision of a tactical strike. A temporary separation. The words hung in the air, toxic and heavy. He wasn't acting out of sadness. He was acting out of the arrogance of a secret millionaire who felt he had outgrown his old life. Olivia sat frozen, her coffee cup halfway to her mouth. "What? Why?" she stammered, blindsided. Michael sighed, putting on his mask of victimhood. "Look, Liv, let's be honest. You're holding me back." He said it with a straight face, holding him back financially. The audacity was breathtaking. Here was a lottery winner sitting on millions, blaming his struggling wife for their perceived stagnation. It was the peak of husband hides money gaslighting, a betrayal so deep it defied logic. "I need space to figure things out, to get my finances in order," he lied, using the very struggle he allowed her to suffer as the excuse to leave. "I can't do that with you dragging me down with your debt." He weaponized her poverty, the poverty he could have fixed with a signature to justify his abandonment. The shocking truth was that he wanted to enjoy his wealth without a witness, without guilt. He wanted the sports cars and the models without the reminder of who he used to be. Olivia's eyes filled with tears, the humiliation burning her cheeks. "I work 2 jobs, Michael. I do everything I can." He waved her off. "It's not enough. It's never enough. We're on different paths." Indeed they were. He was on a path of greed and deception, and she was on a path of integrity and survival. He was framing this as a logical business decision, turning their marriage into a failed merger. This emotional roller coaster was plunging into a free fall, and he was the one cutting the cables. "It's just temporary," he added, a phrase of transition meant to soften the blow. But they both knew it was a lie. He was an undercover billionaire making his escape. He had no intention of coming back. He wanted to go live the life of a rich bachelor, unencumbered by a wife who counted coupons. He saw her as an anchor. He didn't realize she was a keel that kept him upright. "I'll pack a bag," he said, moving toward the bedroom before she could protest further. He was eager, almost giddy beneath his somber facade. He was finally executing his plan for sweet revenge against a life he despised. He looked at her devastated face and felt nothing but relief. The relationship test was over, and he had chosen money over love. As he walked away, leaving her sobbing on the couch. Michael felt lighter. He had done it. He was free. He didn't see the instant karma gathering on the horizon like a storm cloud. He thought he was cutting dead weight, but he was actually severing his lifeline. The unexpected twist was that by leaving her, he wasn't escaping his problems, he was running headfirst into a wall of reality that no amount of money could cushion. The sound of the zipper on Michael's suitcase was like the tearing of Olivia's heart. She sat on the edge of the bed, watching the man she loved pack his life away with terrifying efficiency. He wasn't packing like a man going to a friend's couch. He was packing his best clothes, his knockoff designer suits, with a care that bordered on reverence. Olivia felt a wave of humiliation crash over her. She was being discarded, left behind like old furniture that didn't fit the new decor. The secret millionaire was moving on, and he wasn't taking her with him. "Where will you go?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Just a place I found," Mike replied vaguely, avoiding eye contact. In reality, he had booked a suite at the city's most exclusive five-star hotel. He was trading their cramped apartment for Egyptian cotton sheets and room service. The contrast was a sharp betrayal. He was leaving her in debt and despair go live in the lap of wealth. A shocking truth he guarded until the very end. He swept his toiletries into a bag, checking his reflection one last time. He looked energized, ready for his new chapter as a lottery winner. He didn't look back at the photos on the dresser, the memories of their wedding day. Those were relics of a past he was eager to bury. Olivia, on the other hand, was drowning in the marriage drama, unable to comprehend how they had arrived here. She blamed herself, wondering if she had worked harder, been prettier, been richer, if he would have stayed. She didn't know the game was rigged from the start. "I left some cash on the table for the bills," he said, tossing a few $100s down like he was tipping a waitress. It was a final insult. That money was a fraction of the interest his secret accounts earned in an hour. It was husband Hyde's money behavior, at its peak giving crumbs to the starving while holding the loaf. Olivia looked at the money with disgust and despair. It felt dirty. It felt like go-away money. As he walked to the door, dragging his expensive luggage, the reality set in. This wasn't a break. This was an amputation. Michael opened the door, letting in the cold air. "Take care of yourself. Live," he said, a hollow platitude. He was an undercover billionaire stepping out into his kingdom, leaving the peasant behind. The emotional roller coaster had left her nauseous and broken. She watched in the window as a taxi pulled up, not a bus, but a taxi he had called. He got in without looking back at the building that had been their home. The unexpected twist for Olivia was the sheer speed of his exit. He didn't mourn he escaped. He was chasing a fantasy of sweet revenge against a hard life, believing that money would fill the void where his conscience used to be. Left alone in the silent apartment, the weight of the silence crushed her. She was a discarded wife of a man who didn't exist anymore. But in that depth of despair, the first spark of ultimate justice was igniting. She was down, but she wasn't out. And while Michael was checking into luxury, he was checking out of the only authentic relationship he would ever have. His regret was waiting for him in the lobby. He just hadn't checked in yet. Michael Sullivan stretched out on the king-size bed of the penthouse suite, a glass of vintage champagne in hand. He looked out over the city lights, feeling like the master of the universe. He had done it. He was a lottery winner, a secret millionaire finally living the life he deserved. The silence of the hotel room was blissful compared to the nagging he had left behind. In his mind, he had won the game. He had the wealth. He had his freedom, and he had successfully executed the ultimate husband Hyde's money maneuver without getting caught. Back at the apartment, Olivia was staring at a disconnect notice. The debt was a mountain, and she was climbing it without ropes. To the outside observer, it seemed like evil had triumphed. The bad guy got the gold, and the good girl got the shaft. It was a situation ripe for instant karma. But for now, the scales of justice seemed broken. Michael was ordering steak. Olivia was eating toast. The betrayal felt complete, a total victory for greed over loyalty. Michael spent his days shopping for cars he couldn't drive yet and looking at real estate he planned to buy as soon as the divorce was finalized. He felt no regret, only a smug satisfaction. He told himself he was smart, that he had protected his assets. He viewed Olivia not as a person, but as a financial risk he had successfully mitigated. This dehumanization is the danger of sudden wealth. It turns people into numbers. He was an undercover billionaire reveling in his solitary success. He ignored Olivia's texts asking about the utility bills. "Not my problem anymore," he laughed, deleting the messages. He was cutting ties with surgical precision that was terrifying. He was living the dream, no responsibilities, infinite resources. But there was a hollowness to it. The champagne tasted great, but he was drinking alone. The life lesson was whispering in his ear, but the noise of his ego was too loud. Meanwhile, Olivia was hitting rock bottom. She sold the TV, the microwave, anything to keep the wolves from the door. But in this crucible of humiliation, something was forging inside her. The tears stopped. The fear turned into a cold resolve. She realized she was alone, and that realization, while painful, was empowering. She didn't need the man who abandoned her. The marriage drama had stripped her of her husband, but it was giving her back herself. Michael thought he had left her with nothing but debt. He didn't know he had left her with her dignity intact, something he had sold for a lottery ticket. The shocking truth is that the person with the money isn't always a winner. Michael was poor in every way that mattered. He was a king of an empty castle. The unexpected twist was that his freedom was just isolation in disguise. As he toasted his reflection in the mirror, declaring to me he was sealing his fate. He had burned the bridge, blown up the boat, and was now stranded on an island of gold. He thought it was paradise. He didn't see the tide of ultimate justice rising to meet him. The sweet revenge wasn't going to be Olivia hurting him. It was going to be the universe correcting the imbalance he had created. Flush with arrogance and cash, Michael decided it was time to upgrade his living situation permanently. He set his sights on the Miller estate, a legendary mansion on the cliffs overlooking the ocean. It was a crown jewel of the city, a symbol of old-world power and prestige. As a lottery winner, he believed everything was for sale if the price was right. He walked into the high-end real estate office, his designer suit no longer a knockoff screaming wealth, demanding to see the property. He was a quintessential secret millionaire, ready to plant his flag. The real estate agent, a woman with ice in her veins and a pedigreed match, looked him up and down with barely concealed disdain. Michael threw a bank statement on the desk, the one he used to hide showing his millions. "I want the Miller place." "Cash offer," he boasted, expecting her to fawn over him. Instead, she barely blinked. "I'm afraid that property is not available to just anyone, Mr. Sullivan," she said coolly. The rejection was a splash of cold water on his undercover billionaire fantasy. "What do you mean?" "I have the money," Michael sputtered, his face turning red. The agent smiled a thin, pitying smile. "The owner is very particular. They have a strict policy against selling to new money. They value lineage and character over lottery winnings." The phrase "new money" hit Michael like a physical blow. It was a humiliation he hadn't anticipated. His financial secret gave him buying power, but it didn't give him class. He tried to argue, to bribe, to bully. "Do you know who I am?" he demanded. "I am a wealthy man." The agent raised an eyebrow. "Wealth is quiet, Mr. Sullivan. You are very loud." It was a stinging life lesson. He was discovering that there were doors his money couldn't unlock. The shocking truth was that despite his millions to the elite, he was still just a lucky nobody with a winning ticket. The rejection gnawed at him. He became obsessed with the house. It represented everything he wanted: validation, status, the ultimate sweet revenge on his past. Being told no was not part of the script. He felt the sting of instant karma. He had judged Olivia for being poor, and now he was being judged for being nouveau riche. The emotional roller coaster took a sharp dive into frustration. He demanded a meeting with the owner, insisting there must be a mistake. "I can pay double," he yelled. The agent simply shook her head. "It's not about the amount, sir. It's about the fit. And you do not fit." It was a relationship test with society, and he was failing. He realized that money could buy goods, but it couldn't buy entry into the circles he desperately wanted to join. Storming out of the office, Michael felt a mix of rage and impotence. He had the wealth, but he still felt small. He had left his wife to be a big shot, only to be treated like a child. He didn't know it yet, but this rejection was the first domino in a chain reaction that would lead to betrayal of his own expectations. The mansion on the hill remained out of reach, a fortress guarding a secret that would destroy him. Michael refused to take no for an answer. He returned to the real estate office the next day, badgering the agent, demanding to know who this mysterious owner was. "Who is too good for my money?" He sneered, his lottery winner entitlement on full display. The agent, worn down by persistence and perhaps enjoying the irony, let a detail slip. "Mr. Sullivan, the estate is held by the Miller Family Trust. The matriarch passed recently, and the sole heir controls the assets." The name Miller hung in the air like a ghost. Michael froze. Miller? It was a common name. Sure, but a Miller Family Trust with mansion? His mind raced. He thought of Olivia Miller, his wife, the woman he left counting pennies. No, it couldn't be. She was broke. She struggled to pay the electric bill. It had to be a coincidence. But the seed of doubt was planted, a shocking truth beginning to germinate in his mind. The unexpected twist sent a chill down his spine. "Miller?" he asked, his voice losing its bluster. "Which Millers?" The agent checked her file. "An old industrial family. Very private. The heiress has been living quietly, under the radar." The description hit Michael in the gut. Living quietly, under the radar. It sounded exactly like the life he had been living, but in reverse. Was it possible? Could the woman he treated like a peasant actually be a queen in disguise? The marriage drama suddenly took a turn towards the surreal. He tried to laugh it off. "Couldn't be my ex," he muttered, using the term prematurely. "She's destitute." The agent looked at him sharply. "The heir is known for her eccentricity. Some say she wanted to experience real life before taking over the estate." The word struck Michael like a hammer. Real life? The struggle, the budget, the broken car, was it all a test? A relationship test of epic proportions? If this was true, the betrayal wasn't just his, it was a cosmic joke played on him. He, the secret millionaire, hiding his lottery millions, might have been living with a billionaire who was hiding her empire. The irony was suffocating. He felt the walls closing in. He had left her because she was holding him back financially, only to find out she might be the financial ceiling he could never reach. He left the office in a daze, the arrogance drained out of him. He needed to know. He needed to investigate. The husband hides money plot line was colliding with a rich wife plot line. An explosion was going to be nuclear. He had been playing checkers while she was playing 4D chess. Michael sat in his luxury car, staring at the steering wheel. The wealth he was so proud of suddenly felt insignificant. If Olivia was a Miller heiress, his lottery win was pocket change to her. The humiliation of the possibility was unbearable. He had to find out the truth, and fast. But deep down, the instant karma alarm was ringing louder than ever. He had opened Pandora's box, and the ultimate justice inside was about to come out. Michael turned into a detective, driven by greed and a terrifying sense of dread. He hired a private investigator, paying top dollar to dig into Olivia's background, something he had never bothered to do when they were married. Find everything on Olivia Miller, he ordered, his voice shaking. Within 24 hours, the PI handed him a dossier that weighed a ton. As Michael flipped through the pages, the blood drained from his face. The shocking truth was undeniable. Olivia wasn't just a Miller. She was a Miller. The documents revealed a lineage of industrial tycoons. Olivia was the sole heiress to a global business empire, with assets, real estate, and investments that made Michael's lottery winner jackpot look like a child allowance. She was a rich wife of astronomical proportions. The dossier explained everything she had walked away from her fortune years ago. Wanted to find someone who loved her for herself, not her name. She had chosen a simple life, chosen struggle, chosen him. Michael slumped in his chair, the dossier falling from his hands. The realization was a physical blow. He had been hiding millions from a woman worth billions. He had left her for being poor when she was actually royalty in hiding. The humiliation was total. He was a secret millionaire who thought he was the smart one, the powerful one, only to discover he was a fool in a fable. The life lesson was searing. He had failed the ultimate test of character. He remembered her kindness, her patience, her willingness to take the bus. It wasn't because she had to, it was because she was committed to the role, committed to us. She had endured his cruelty, his stinginess, his financial secret, all while holding the keys to a kingdom. The betrayal he committed wasn't just leaving a wife, it was discarding a woman of infinite worth, both financial and moral. I left a billionaire, he whispered to the empty hotel room. The irony was so thick he could choke on it. He had chased wealth and lost the biggest fortune of all. He had sought freedom and found only his own stupidity. The emotional roller coaster had crashed, and he was the only casualty. He thought of the knockoff clothes, the expensive watches. How pathetic he must have looked to her, playing rich while she was wealth incarnate. He looked at the divorce papers on the table, the ones he had drafted to ensure she got nothing. He laughed, a manic, hysterical sound. She didn't need his money. She could buy and sell him 10 times over before breakfast. His husband Hyde's money scheme was a joke. The unexpected twist had completely inverted the power dynamic. He was a pauper now. Panic set in. He had to fix this. He had to get her back. Not just for the money, though the greed was still there, but because the magnitude of his mistake was consuming him. He had thrown away a winning lottery ticket to pick up a penny. He grabbed his keys, desperate to reverse the instant karma hurtling towards him. But some bells cannot be unrung. Michael raced back to their old apartment, his heart pounding. He found Olivia packing boxes, not despair, but determination. She looked different, stronger, colder. He burst in, breathless. "Liv, I made a mistake. I love you. We can fix this." He was playing the desperate card, trying to salvage the wreckage. But Olivia simply stood up, dusting off her hands. She looked at him with eyes that held no more tears, only a piercing clarity. The relationship test was graded, and he had failed. "You can come back for me, Michael," she said, her voice steady. "You came back because you found out who I am." The silence that followed was deafening. She knew. She knew he knew. The rich wife mask was off. "I wanted a life of truth," she continued, stepping closer to him, her presence filling the room. "I hid my name, my money, everything, because I wanted to be loved from my heart, not my inheritance. I wanted a partner who would stand by me in the rain, not just the sunshine." Michael stammered, trying to lie, but the words died in his throat. I won the lottery, Liv. I have money too. We can be a power couple." He confessed his financial secret in a desperate bid for equality, thinking it would bond them. "I was an undercover billionaire too." He thought this shocking truth would save him. Instead, Olivia looked at him with pity. "You hid your money to protect it from me," she said softly. "I hid my money to share a life with you. We are not the same." The distinction was brutal and accurate. His secrecy was born of greed, hers was born of hope. "You watch me struggle," she said, her voice trembling slightly with a memory of the pain. "You let me take the bus. You let me cry over bills. You had the power to help, and you chose not to. That is who you are." It was the ultimate justice delivered in a monologue. She stripped him naked of his excuses. "I have billions, Michael," she revealed, confirming the dossier. "I could have bought us the world, but you couldn't even buy me a bus ticket." The contrast destroyed him. The betrayal wasn't that she had money. It was that he proved he wasn't worthy of it. He fell to his knees, the regret crushing him. "Please, Liv, I can change." "No," she said, picking up her Baga simple bag, but carried with the grace of a queen. "Money amplifies who you are. It made you cruel. It made me patient. You have your lottery win, Michael. Enjoy it. It's all you have." She walked past him, the scent of her perfume lingering like a ghost. She was a life lesson he would study for the rest of his miserable life. She walked out the door, not to a bus, but to a waiting black limousine that had pulled up silently outside. The driver held the door. Olivia Miller, the heiress, stepped into her true life, leaving the lottery winner kneeling on the floor of a cheap apartment, surrounded by the ruins of his own greed. Michael remained on the floor long after the limousine had disappeared. The apartment was silent, a tomb of lost opportunities. The realization of what he had done washed over him in waves of nausea. He had traded a diamond for a handful of dust. He was a lottery winner, yes, but he felt like the poorest man on earth. The wealth in his bank account felt like monopoly money now, useless and mocking. He had lost the only thing that was real, a woman who loved him when he had nothing. He looked around the empty room. The knockoff lies, the hidden watches, the secret accounts had all seemed so petty, so small. He had played a game of husband-hide money and won a solitude that felt like a death sentence. The regret was a physical pain in his chest, a heavy stone that made it hard to breathe. He realized that instant karma wasn't a punishment, it was a mirror, and he hated what he saw. He drove back to the hotel, but the luxury suite felt like a prison cell. He looked at the city lights, the view he had coveted, and saw only darkness. The humiliation of being rejected by old money was nothing compared to the shame of being rejected by a good woman. He poured the expensive champagne down the sink. It tasted like ash. He had freedom. He had millions. And he had absolutely no purpose. Days turned into nights. Michael stopped shaving, stopped going out. He sat in his expensive clothes, staring at the wall. The emotional roller coaster had stopped, leaving him stranded at the bottom. He realized that Olivia was the source of light in his life, and he had extinguished it with his own hands. The shocking truth was that he didn't want the money anymore. It was a cursed reminder of his failure. In a moment of clarity, or perhaps madness, Michael made a decision, a life-changing decision. He couldn't buy her back. He couldn't undo the past. But he could destroy the thing that destroyed him. He took out his checkbook, the one linked to his lottery winnings. He began to write checks, not to himself, not to car dealerships, but to charities, to the food bank Olivia used to volunteer at, to the shelter she supported. He gave it away, all of it, every cent of the lottery win. It was a frantic purge, a desperate attempt to cleanse his soul. He wanted to be broke again. He wanted to start over, to be the man Olivia thought he was when they met. It was a sweet revenge on his own greed. He dismantled his fortune in hours, leaving himself with nothing but the clothes on his back and a regret in his heart. The final scene found Michael walking out of the hotel, his bags gone, his watch left on the dresser for the maid. He walked into the cool night air, penniless but strangely lighter. He wasn't the secret millionaire anymore. He was just Michael. He didn't know if Olivia would ever forgive him. She probably wouldn't. But as he walked toward the bus stop, the same bus stop he forced her to use, he felt the first stirrings of redemption. It was the ultimate justice. He had to walk the path he forced her to walk, hoping that maybe, just maybe, it would lead him back to being human. Michael's story teaches us a brutal life lesson. Money doesn't change people, it unmasks them. He spent so much energy hiding his fortune that he lost the only treasure. He couldn't booyah a woman who loved him when he had nothing. In the end, he learned that the poorest man isn't the one without a cent, but the one without a soul. If you also believe that integrity is worth more than any lottery jackpot, then you belong here with us. This channel is a home for those who value the heart over the wallet. Subscribe now and join a community that knows the true definition of wealth. Let's make sure this message reaches everyone who needs it, like this video, to show the world that kindness still wins. Comment below if you were Olivia. Would you have given him a second chance? Or was walking away the only option? I want to read your thoughts. Share this story with a friend who appreciates a powerful lesson in ultimate justice. And don't let the journey end here. Our channel is a vault filled with emotional stories and shocking truths, just like this one. Dive into our playlist on screen to uncover more hidden gems you might have missed. And trust me, you won't want to miss what we're cooking up next. We have another story coming that twists the knife even deeper. Turn on that notification bell so you're the first to witness the next chapter of human drama. Until then, remember, true value is found in who you are, not what you have.